Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing some more graphing with the graphing calculator, and in this small video we're going to be looking at lines and some of the graphing key functions that are found in the graphing calculator. Those are these keys up at the top of your calculator. In this case I'm going to be using a TI-84 Plus, which is similar to the TI-83 Plus that I used in the last video. The only difference here is some of the format on the window will be a bit different, and if you want it to look exactly the same as the TI-83, we would hit the mode button, go down to the next window screen, and this is how the print is a little bit different. It's in math print instead of classic mode. If we change it to classic mode by hitting enter, and if we do that, then it should look very much the same as the TI-83 Plus. So we just get out of that, we'll change that back to classic mode and just hit second quit. So that means your screen now, if you have a TI-83 Plus or a TI-83, it'll look the same as the one we're doing right now because I changed this into classic mode. All right, so the graphing keys, there are 5 of them here on the top. This first button, y equals, that's where we enter the equations. All equations are solved for y, so you have to have your equations solved for y. And in my 2 examples, the first one solved for y, but the second one is not, so we're going to have to solve that for y in order to put it in. Now a calculator can graph up to 10 lines at the or 10 equations at the same time. In this case 10 lines, because that's what we're graphing. These plot equations up here are for some statistical plotting. They should not be highlighted, or that might interfere with our graphing ability. So if they're highlighted, that just means that they've been turned on. So that's what it will look like if it's highlighted. So you can go right up to you can scroll up to there and just hit enter over the top of it, and that will turn that plot off so that it's not interfering with your graph. So let's start off with the first graph, and then we'll run through some of the keys and what they will do. So if we just type it in, we use a negative, not the minus sign. Negative 3 divided by 4. Now your X button is right here because we're in the graphing, we're in the right mode. We're going to get X, not T or theta and N. There's different modes under this, but right now we're in the graphing mode that is in function. So here are our modes: function, parametric, polar, and sequence. This is the function mode, and that's what we're going to be graphing most of our things in, function mode. So let's go back to the y equals. We started by graphing negative 3/4 x. We need to have a plus 5 here at the end, plus 5. Okay, after that we're going to set the window, and then we're going to use the graph button. And we'll also go over these 2 keys, zoom and trace. So let's go back to the window. This is the size of the window. That means on the x-axis, your minimum number will be negative 10, and your maximum number will be 10, and there'll be 1 in between each mark. And the y-scale going up and down is the same thing. There'll be 1 in each mark. Now there's an arrow here, meaning there's something else down below. This will not show up on the 83 Plus. We're just going to leave that alone, and the resolution we'll leave alone as well. So we're just going to deal with the first 6 here. Okay, so set your calculator negative 10 minimum, maximum 10, scale 1. Y minimum is negative 10, Y maximum is 10, and the scale is 1. We're going to look at the graph of this now. So we look at this. Here is our graph. So the graph of negative 3/4 x plus 5 it's a line. So it's going to go through there. Now we can use some keys like the trace button will allow us to trace some of along the graph. Now this calculator uses pixels for its screen, so it's going to be kind of jumpy as it goes right and left. They're not going to be nice answers here for x and y because of the way the number of pixels are given based upon how big the screen is set up. So each time we do that, it's going to be a little messier. Now But it will start off on a nice number, 0, 5. That's our y-intercept. So we found our y-intercept by just hitting the graph button, or the trace button, I'm sorry, trace button. And let's see if we can trace over and find the x-intercept. Okay, if we push this button a couple times, see if we can get to the x-intercept. That's when y is 0. It doesn't look like we can find the exact answer there because of the way it is. Y is positive there, but if we go a little bit more to the right, it's negative. So it's somewhere between 6.8 and 6.5 or 6.6. So it's somewhere between those two values is the x-intercept. But the calculator also, you're able to use this calculate menu up here. If we hit second and calculate, we can actually find the 0, which is the x-intercept. So we can use this thing right here. We're going to use these two things right here to help us with this part of the example. So we can find the value. So if we want to know a value at a certain thing, we can just hit 1 here for value, and it says, okay, what value do you want? So let's say we want to know the value when x is 3. You just type in 3 and hit enter, and it puts the cursor right on the thing, on the line, and it gives you the value for y. So basically, if we put 3 right in here for x, and we multiply by -3/4 and add 5, we should get 2.75 as our answer. So this helps you find the values along the line. Now, you can only type in values that are between the values given on the graph. So our values here on our window are -10 to +10 for scale. So that means if I try to use a value that's bigger than that, it's going to give me an error. So if I go like -11, because that's outside, whoops, that's not what I wanted. -11. That was -11. Bigger key here for minus. So -11, it's going to give us an error. It should anyway. Let's see. Let's just verify. Yes. And our error is that we're outside the range. So we would then push 1 to quit. We go back to our graph, and we would try to use some value between -10 and +10. So if we want to know the intercept again, we can put 0 in. That'll give us the y-intercept, and then we know that the y-intercept is 5. Now the other function that we can use here is the 0, which is the x-intercept. So 0 meaning x-intercept, we can go down and find that. Now it uses a different method to finding the answer. So what it's going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to find a left bound. So our intercept is somewhere close to this value. So we want to make sure that we go left on our graph so that we get a little bit to the left of where it crosses, and we push enter so that we set a left bound so that we know where we're looking for your intercept or your 0. So now it's going to ask for right bound. So we're going to move our cursor so it passes the intercept, and we're going to set our right bound. Then it's going to say guess. So we can guess. We can move close to what it is, or we can just hit enter. It doesn't matter. I'm going to move close and then push enter one more time. So right now it's looking for your answer somewhere between these two values here. Somewhere between here and here, it's saying it crosses. That's what these arrows represent. And we're guessing it's close to this one where the cursor is saying. So we're going to push enter there. It's going to say that the 0 is 6.666, which is about 6 2/3, it looks like, if we convert it. So we're saying that the 0 is 6 2/3 here. So we're saying our zeros are 0, 5 from before, and 6 2/3 and 0. And we could plug those in to make sure that works. If we put in 6 2/3 here and we multiply, let's verify that using our calculator. So we'll do second, quit. So we get back to our main calculating screen. We're going to use -3 fourths times. Now I'm going to put the next thing in parentheses because it's got a 6 2/3. Right, so 6 2/3. That's, for me to do that, I'm going to have to go 6 and, which means plus to me, 6 and 2/3. We can't just write 6 2/3. We'd have to write it as a mixed fraction. We could also write that as 20/3, right? 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. So that's the same as 20/3. So if we do that and then we say plus 5, we should get 0 here. And we do. We get 0. So that is the correct answer there. Okay, now let's take a look at the second example here. 2x minus 3y equals 9. First of all, to graph that one, we would have to solve for y. So we would end up subtracting our 2x from both sides. Oops. This is me trying to do the... So we subtract 2x, both sides. So we're going to end up with -3y equals -2x plus 9. And then we're going to divide by -3. So if we divide every part by -3, we're going to end up with y equals, now in this case we're going to 2 negatives there, so it's positive 2/3 x, and then 9 divided by -3 is -3. So we're going to plug that in. We're going to do the x and y intercepts and find out what those are. So we go back to our y equals, and we're going to push clear if you have something in there, and then we're going to put in 2/3. Let's see, I had to put in a new calculator here because the other one froze, so I'm going to reset the mode to where it looks the same as I did last time. This is what happens when your calculator freezes up on you. I had to reset everything. So 2 divided by 3x minus 3, and graph. Okay, now let's find the intercepts. Now we could also do some other things here, but let's just find the intercepts. So we're going to do that by calculate the value 1. So we're going to calculate the x or the y-intercept. In that case, it's -3. That verifies that it should be -3. This is in y equals mx plus b. Here's your y-intercept, -3. Now your x-intercept, we're going to find that by using our 0 function here. And left bound, we go to the left of where it crosses, which is, we can use this value here. Go to the right of where it crosses. So that's definitely to the right. We select it. There is the 0 somewhere in between. We're going to take the guess to be right about there. So my answer is 4.5. So my x-intercept is 4.5 here. So if you have any questions, send me an email.